Hey y'all, it's Sarah, and you can see in front of me I have a big hot mess of scraps. So I thought that I would sit and do a little crafty freestyle, nothing formal, but I wanted to show just a few little ideas that others might can use to kind of wipe down your scraps pile and get a few really lightweight Christmas ornaments. I've got a couple other things sitting near me. I've got just some Dollar Tree twine, whatever ribbon that might work for you. I've got a few of these that I've already painted. If you saw the tags video, I still have some of these left over on my skewers that were already painted, so I'll be adding a few of those for details here and there. But for the most part, I'm just going to be able to use scraps and some twine to kind of hold these things together, and we're going to kind of be coming up with some ideas as we go. So I'm going to look through what I've got. These were scraps that I had that pretty much had most of their edges filled out, so that made it easier. I want to jump in and show you a couple things already that I've been playing with. You can see there's a little gift box. These things are going to be so lightweight to go on a tree, so for like your little small trees, your pencil trees, anything like that, these are going to be really lightweight. And for Christmas tier trays, these will be really lightweight. So I'm just going to kind of dig through here. And one of the first ones I wanted to show you was like a kind of primitive Christmas tree. And this one's a really good one. If you're like me, I have a bunch of these triangles, and these are the results of every time I've cut a 45-degree angle into my 3-inch strips, there's always these little triangles left at the end. So I always have a ton of these. I have a couple that are a little larger that probably, looking at them, it looked like maybe they were the 45-degree cuts off of maybe a 4-inch strip. And then I've got some that are a little smaller that came from cutting down these kind of things. So any of those can work if you've got an abundance of those, and you can see I do. So this one here, I'm going to see which pieces I kind of like. Now, I will tell you that I've got just a little bit of the mix that I like to use. That's my Waverly Antique, a little bit of my black Waverly chalk paint, and a hair of my clear. And this is a mix that I keep handy for doing my edges and things like that. So I will likely go ahead and clean up the back sides of these. So if they're hanging on my tree, I don't see any white. So keep that in mind. You don't necessarily have to do it if you get them hung on your tree just right, or maybe you want to put some scrapbook paper or something on the back side of it. But I will go in and do the back sides just a little bit. Nothing fancy, nothing great, just to put enough color on there that I don't see the white through any branches, because my tree usually is placed somewhere where you can almost see all the way around it. I know a lot of people don't necessarily have their tree set up that way. So what I'll likely do is just go ahead and glue mine in place and then just do the entire back. But I did want to say that you might want to. You don't have to. So I'm just going to take a couple of these, and now I've got paint all over myself. Since I can't do any major crafting and I'm supposed to be taking it easy, I thought this was a really easy craft to do. And I kind of like that I do have these different colors. I really like how that looks. I had some little bitty scrap pieces. You know, these are edges that are cut off. I'm going to end up using probably some of these to hold up what I'm doing. And really, really simple. Guys, this is almost embarrassingly simple. But I'm going to come in, put a little glue, just using some hot glue, to hit the tips of those. And I'm just going to bring a straight edge in somewhere, so I can kind of make sure that I'm lining these up straight. I wanted to try to do this laying flat and doing it as art. However, because of how they stack and their thickness, it didn't want to lay down as flat as I wanted to. And I still may go in and do something matching to this where they are flat this way, if that makes sense. And do some primitive trees. But once I got my little trees put together, I really thought they looked cute as ornaments. And I have a farmhouse tree, or I'm working on a farmhouse tree. Last year was the first time I did it. So I thought these were a really easy way to kind of bulk up the ornament collection for my tree without much effort and time investment. So all I'm going to do, I'm kind of just looking around at what pieces I have. This is a pretty decent piece. I think it'll work for a trunk. So I'm going to come in. Like I said, this is almost embarrassingly easy, but this is a good way to try to get rid of some scraps. That's what I'm trying to do as the year starts to head towards its end. I didn't want to go into the new year with a whole bunch of scraps. I really want to find ways to use them up. And some of you guys may not have the volume of scraps that I tend to have. So here we go. I'm going to pull my glue off. So a couple things. In order to hang it, I'm just taking a piece of kind of junky foam core, and that's what I was using to get this to line up to put my holes in. I'm using this, and I'm going to tell you, I tried screwdrivers. I tried a lot of other things, and they ended up blowing out my paper. So I like using this little wood skewer because I can twist it as it goes in, and that little bit of texture of the wood is taking that paper surface. Instead of just ripping it up, it's pushing it down in that hole and almost making that hole look like a nicely finished hole. So I've gone all the way through. I'm just going to pull this through the back side. And you see it gives me a nice kind of clean hole without blowing my paper out, which can happen. Let me show you really quick on this scrap. I just shoved it in. I didn't spin it or anything, and you can see what I mean about it blows that paper out. When you spin it and you slide this in, this little bit of texture from the wood kind of smooths that paper down into that hole. So that's kind of why I'm doing that. If you have a crocodile, if you're an old school scrapbooker, the crocodiles work for this, which is what I like to use. But not everybody has one of those, so I do like showing this as an alternative. I'm just going to come in with a little bit of twine to hang these off of. And I'm not sure how much I'm going to use yet, so I'm just going to cut a little strip. Reach over really quick and grab my little styrofoam vase filler balls here. And I'm not even using a bunch of them. I'm only going to grab 2, just enough to give that look and dress it up a little bit, but I still want to keep this kind of primitive. I'm not going super fancy. So I'm going to thread this through. And this is a really great thing for me to do since I did end up painting so many of these at one time. I felt like this was a really good use for them. So I'm going to pull that through. I'm going to slide right back up through there. So now I have that through both. I'm going to put my needle to the side here. So I kind of found that if I did this way, I'm going to leave a little space there so that I don't jam this down into the little point of my triangle part of my tree. I'm going to try to twist both of these around and get a knot right at the end of this white bead. And then I'll put another set in as a kind of like my hanger. And that kind of keeps my little beads from moving around too much. So you can kind of see what I did there. I'm going to come to this end, do the same thing. And you can really go as far and as fancy-smancy as you want to go with these. And I'm probably going to sit and make a whole lot of random things. So here's where I'm at this point. The only thing that I would do now is go in and make a little bow to add to mine. And here you can see one that I've got finished. So these are really cute to me. They're very primitive, very simplistic, very lightweight. Be super cute to do an entire garland this way. As a matter of fact, I do have a garland that I've made with some primitive looking Christmas trees, although they're a little different than this one. So next thing I wanted to show you. A lot of my little square ends that I have just kind of nipped off the end of things, or rectangles, whichever, I am turning those into little gift boxes. You could sit and stack them and turn that into one ornament. I've already done a couple of here, kind of using the same scenario, but you see that every single one of these is a little slightly different, and I'll show you what I did with them. And I think these are pretty cute for what they are. All of this is scraps. It's just a little bit of, there is a whole lot of twine on this. There's 300 feet. Even if you just did these in the faux wood and the twine, I think they're super cute and primitive. Whatever color bow you wanted to use. You could even use some of these right here. They come in a lot of different colors. I painted mine, but they come in a lot of different colors you could use and coordinate with what they already come in. So on a couple of these, really simply, all I did, and look, this one I didn't even put anything but the twine on, and then I used a little scrap to kind of make it look like a ribbon. So a couple ways. This one I ended up liking the results of, and all I did was, let me grab a thicker ribbon to show you guys. I came around and just attached my ribbon all the way around it like this. I found a little rectangle scrap that I could cut down, and this one kind of looks like it would almost fit. I wrapped it also to where it lined up with this, and I'm going to show you the easiest way to do that. So I'm just going to come in, pop a little glue right there. And guys, I'm sitting because I'm still a little sore. So I can't see if I'm getting everything in the screen. I apologize if I'm not. Let me snip this down. I had to acknowledge today, the more I've been sitting playing with all these ribbons, I do not own a pair of fabric scissors. I know that sounds crazy, but I've always been a paper crafter. Now I realize with as much ribbon as I play with, I should make that investment. So there's where you started, and you could easily just leave it at that. Put a little bow down the center, at the top, however you want to do that. And let me find a little piece that I can trim down. Let's see, is this wide enough? It is not. So it looks like I may need to trim a little piece just to go along this top. So I kept my smaller cutting board near me so that I could just sit and cut as I went and as I got ideas. And I'm just going to cut this down. Probably an inch is fine. I'm going to zoom right through that. So I ended up having 2 lids to gift boxes if I wanted. Here is what I found was absolutely the easiest. If you want to line it up this way, I wanted to give this tip and save you some effort. So I've got this piece down. When you go in to do the second piece over your little lid, go ahead and line it up right here where you're going to glue your lid down. Line up whatever your ribbon is right there, and you can kind of see what I did here. And let me paint the side of this so that I don't have to try to do it while my ribbon is on it. I'm going to glue it in place. I'm just going to push it kind of down flush there at the top. And then I came up and flipped over like that. And that way everything lined up instead of trying to measure it and mark it and all of that. Ended up lining up really easy. So that's just a little quick tip if you're wanting to go that direction with the little gift boxes. These are really great for me because my tree is like 10 feet, maybe taller. So I have always done traditional red with my tree. Last year was the first time that I wanted to switch over to kind of the more rustic farmhouse look. I did not go out and buy all new decorations. I used, I pretty much took a basket, went around my house, picked up knickknacks, and put them on my tree. Rolling pins, kitchen utensils, and that's what my tree had. My family really enjoyed it, but I could have used some filler ornaments. And I think these are going to be really good as filler ornaments. So in order to hang these, you can poke through all the way here, or you can come in on the back, add a loop, and that's probably what I'm going to do for this one, just to show you an alternative. I'm going to pop that in place. Now, I could leave it just like that. I can add a bow. I may leave it just like that so I have a little bit of variety in all of these little gifts here. A couple other ones that I want to show you. So, your triangles. I realized that I could go a little bit bigger with ornaments. I can put large ornaments on my tree. And as a matter of fact, I really like the idea of large ornaments or oversized ornaments. I love the big giant Christmas balls that they make, that kind of thing. So I'm going to do a slightly larger scale ornament for this. And let me find enough little pieces here. So I've got this one triangle. It's a pretty good size. I don't have anything that's slightly bigger than this, so I'm going to try to find a couple of them that I can make bigger. So I'm going to take two of these smaller ones. I'm going to go ahead and go in with this guy. I'll go in with one of these. Let's see if I can find one that kind of rotates out these colors. And then one slightly smaller one there, and if I can find a little tiny one, I probably could even add to that. And I don't have any of the little tiny ones up here. I was afraid that I would end up losing. Oh, there's one. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a pretty decent sized little ornament. I'm going to stick these two together. I'm actually going to run a little glue down this side. Now remember, I have said before that my glue gun has temperature control. Be careful when you're hitting the actual exposed foam core with hot glue, because if you have a really high temp glue gun, it can melt that and shrink it right out from under your paper. So let's see where I was at. I was stacking all of these guys. I think I'm going to, there we go. I'm rotating out the colors too. That's part of what you're seeing here. Where it almost looks like each little piece is stained slightly different. So I'm gonna, oops, I'm gonna keep going up. And now you can kind of see why I said that even though I wanted to do this on an art piece, and I could have, and the dimension would have been nice. But when you start stacking these up, they actually get pretty high up off of here. At this point, this very end is raised up a good inch. And if you tried to lean it, it ended up tilting back and forth. If you kept them flat, you'd be able to do it. So I'm going to finish out with this little guy here at the top. There goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 triangles of scraps in one little tree that I'm able to get out of my scraps pile. This one would be really cute to do like some of my bigger trees that I've shown already, where you could poke through one this size and run some of those Dollar Tree lights. that they have, like I did with the one lighted tree. You could run through on one this size and have it light up on your tree as an individual ornament, and I think that would be really cute. So this little piece right here seems to work fine for a stand stem trunk. I love doing this. I like working with scraps, and I know I probably do a whole lot of scraps video, and a lot of you guys don't have nearly the amount of scraps that I do. But I like working with scraps because it really makes you kind of think outside of the box. It makes you get playful with your ideas, or at least it does for me. You know, all of a sudden, I look at a triangle and my brain's thinking, okay, what are all the things that can be done with a triangle? What are all the things that can be done with a rectangle? So I like doing this kind of thing. I feel like it really kind of taps into that creativity quite a bit. So I'm just going to make a little bow to go on this tree. Once again, you can poke a hole through the top if you want to. This particular one, I'm not going to, simply because that little top triangle piece is so small. I don't want to break it off trying to get my little hole through. So I'm just going to put a loop on the back. I'm going to make a cute little bow here. I'll try some different scissors, see if I have a little better luck with these. So I could go at the top of here, which is pretty cute. I could go down here at the base, which is also kind of cute. I'm going to come in, grab a little cut of this, go ahead and make my little loop to put on there. And honestly, if you put a little knot in your loop first to glue it down, that little knot gives you a little bit bigger space to get your glue on. Either which way that's convenient to you. So I'm going to pop that over, glue it down, and I will likely sit and finish all the backs of these at one time. I try to get messy all at one time instead of going back and forth, partially because I did not want paint all over my ribbons either. So I have a nice little loop to hang that one by. And I really kind of think, for some weird reason, even though I thought I wanted it as a tree topper, I actually think I want this one around my trunk. So I'm just going to nip little dovetails in there. Oh my goodness, guys, I really, really need to invest in a good pair of at least ribbon cutting scissors. And I have scissors that are amazing with paper. So far, none of them have panned out for cutting the dovetails into my ribbons. So yeah, I do. I like it for some reason at the bottom of the tree, even though logically we would put our bow at the top. If I wanted to, I could have made this loop a little longer. And put a couple of my little balls there at the top like that. And I still may go back and do that and try to thread those on there. So at this point, we have lots of different little options. I wanted to show you on some of my little gifts. I did them where the bows were at the top. Some almost look like they're front facing. And the reason I did that is because I thought once I was finished with all of these, I would likely go back in and make an entire ornament that looked like a cluster of gifts. That way none of the bows were overlapping on each other. They could kind of each bow be independent. So that's the reason why some are that way. Or you could just do it that way just because it's cute and it's different. You could do it with some of the rectangle ones. That's the next one I wanted to show you is what else do I have here? So I have a couple of these rectangle ones. And I'm really just gonna kind of do, are these any, do they stagger? Oh, close enough. I have a couple of these. I'm going to do this kind of at a smaller scale of one of the big ones that I showed you for the trees. So let me see what I've got stem-wise that I think is going to be long enough. This guy. So let me slide all these. This is how I sit. If I'm just crafting for myself, I sit in a big happy mess in the middle. Try not to judge me for some reason. As OCD as I am, crafting is the one thing that I enjoy the mess of. So I'm just going to come in here and see how this looks stacked. I may nip those ends a little bit. Let's see. So this is going to kind of be tree-like. These are, there's a pretty good size difference in these. So all I'm going to do is grab this out. I'm not going to put a full 45 in these because if I do, it is likely to, it's going to come over pretty far if I do. I might could. You can see there, these are 45s off of there. So, all these pieces look like they might be big enough. No, that one's not going to be big enough. So, I'm not going to go a full 45 on these. Obviously, it won't work out math-wise on the smallest piece. So, I'm just going to come over. Let's see. How long is this one? This one is 5. I'm going to come over at... no, it's 5 1/8. So I'm going to come over just a little over the 2 1/2, which should give me right about in the middle on this one. And make this one my top. It's the shortest little square that I had. Actually, I may not have to do that. Let's go ahead and start with this one. Since I'm not going to do a 45, I'm just going to come over 2 inches on each one of these. That should save me a whole lot of math. And I'm just going to go from the very edge up to that. Same thing on this section. Hopefully you guys are seeing all of this. Same thing with each one of these. I'm just going to go over about 2 inches. That way it's not giving me a full 45, but it is giving me that little bit of an angle down on my little kind of mini palette tree. And if any of you have done the palette trees that I put up yet, this might be a cute little friend to it. So let's see how this is working out for me. Oh yeah, the 2 inches over I think is just fine. That's just enough to put that angle in there on these. I don't even know what size these are. It just happened to be the pieces that were sitting here. It was more about sharing the ideas of, hey, this is something that you can sit and do. One of the other things that I could mention is you can always go in with stickers and add stickers to any of these to personalize them and monogram them. You could always add vinyl or paint markers. The white in a lot of your paint markers shows up really nicely on this. So here's where I am. I've got those all cut down. And let's see. Here's one of these smaller triangles. I can come pop that right at the top. And there you go. How cute is this guy? Did I get those in the wrong order? Nope. That one's longer. This one's a totally cute one. All I need to do is come in and paint my little edges. And I think I should be able to go ahead and glue this down. So let me slide this out of my way. And we'll start gluing this guy down. I'm so happy to get to use up a lot of these scraps and really have something that I can enjoy. If you're looking for ideas to do some of your mini trees, or to do for your kids, if you're the type that lets kids do their own trees. I know a lot of people do their pretty fancy family tree, and then they have trees that they let their kids kind of fully decorate. This is a really good cheap way to get a lot of ornaments for something like that. Teachers, this is a really good cheap way to get some classroom ornaments. Also, some of these just extra squares that I've got sitting here. These just random pieces like this. These are really cute to go in, pop your holes in, add your string, add some of your little beads to loop here around the top. Put your family's different names across that. That's a really good way to get rid of a lot of these little pieces. I happen to have this piece that was cut off the end of something. This one's a really cute as a little gingerbread house to me. This one right here, honestly, I think that's super cute. That's a really decent little size for those of you doing larger trees and want those ornaments that really pop. This one's 14.5. So there's just a few ideas, just some things. Like I said, this was nothing formal. I was sitting here doing this while the rest of my family gorges on Halloween candy. I needed to pull myself away from that and decided I was going to sit here and play with some of my scraps. This is where I'm at. I'm sure I'll have a few more ideas like this between now and Christmas time, but I did want to share these really quick. These little tiny ones on here, if you can see these little tiny balls out of here, would be super cute just attached to here to dress it up, by the way. I was just thinking of that as I was sitting here looking at those. So that's everything I got for y'all. I'm going to continue to sit and put more of my little ornaments together. Have a little fun with it. Get a little creative. Challenge yourself to use every little scrap. I mean, if you look, there are some really random little ones that I typically don't save them this size. Somehow this ended up in there. But there's a great little piece to throw into my cute little gingerbread house. There's a rooftop and a chimney, and then you have a house. Anything like that. Throw a little cute little small wreath right here on the front. Super cute. Just sit and play with them. Dump your scraps out in front of yourself. Have a little fun with it. Get a little creative with it. Think outside of the box. And show us what you got. I really love these. I hope you did too. And I hope you get a chance to craft. Talk to you guys soon.